The bonding ceremony was held in the Temple of First Light, the most sacred place on Valora. The temple was older than the Empire itself. Its walls were made of stone that glowed with inner fire. Its ceiling was open to the stars, so the ancestors could watch from above. 10,000 guests filled the temple. Emperors and queens, warriors and scholars, representatives from every corner of the galaxy. They had come to witness the impossible, a human joining the Valoran royal bloodline. Tay stood at the altar, wearing robes of white and gold. He looked small against the massive stone pillars. He looked ordinary among the powerful beings that surrounded him. But his eyes were calm and his heart was steady. Princess Yuna entered the temple. The crowd fell silent. She wore armor of pure silver, inscribed with the symbols of her ancestors. Her silver hair flowed behind her like a river of starlight. Her golden eyes shone with a light that came from within. But the most remarkable thing about her was her smile. The proud princess, who had never shown emotion in public, was smiling. It was a small smile, meant only for the human waiting at the altar. She walked down the aisle with the grace of 200 years of training. Every step was perfect. Every movement was precise. Yet her eyes never left Taydot when she reached the altar. She took his hands in hers. The difference in their sizes was obvious. Her hands could crush stone. His were the hands of a farmer's son. The high priest stepped forward. He was ancient, even by Valoran standards. His voice was like the sound of mountains moving. We gather today to witness a bonding, the joining of two souls into one. This bond is eternal. It cannot be broken by distance or time. It can only be ended by death. He turned to Yuna, Princess Yuna of the Valoran Empire. Do you accept this human Tay as your bonded mate? Will you share your power and your pain, your victories and your defeats, your life and your death? Yuna's voice rang clear. I accept. The priest turned to Tay. Tay of humanity. Do you accept Princess Yuna as your bonded mate? Will you share her power and her pain, her victories and her defeats, her life and her death? Know that this bond will change you. Your lifespan will extend to match hers. Her strength will flow through you, but her burdens will become yours as well. Tay looked at Yuna. He saw the fear hidden behind her confident eyes. The fear that he would hesitate. The fear that, at the last moment, he would realize his mistake. He squeezed her hands gently. I accept, he said. With all my heart. The priest raised his hands. Then let the bond be formed. Light exploded from the altar. It wrapped around Tay and Yuna like ribbons of fire. It burned through them, connecting them on a level deeper than flesh and bone. Tay felt it. He felt Yuna's mind touch his. He felt her emotions flow into him like a river breaking through a dam. 200 years of loneliness. 200 years of being feared instead of loved. 200 years of watching others walk away. He felt her pain, her doubt, her hidden tears, and he sent back something. In return, warmth, acceptance, love without conditions. He showed her his memories. Growing up on a small colony, working in the fields with his father, sitting on the porch with his mother, watching the sunset. Small moments, simple moments, the kind of moments that made life worth living. He showed her that she was not alone anymore, that she would never be alone again. Yuna gasped. Tears streamed down her face. In front of 10,000 witnesses, the proud princes of the Valoran Empire wept, but they were tears of joy. The light faded. The bond was complete. The priest spoke one final time. It is done. You are now one. What has been joined can never be broken. Go forth together, and may the stars light your path. The crowd erupted into applause. Some cheered. Others wept. A few sat in stunned silence, unable to process what they had witnessed. Tay, and Yuna turned to face their guests. They stood side by side, hands still joined. "People of the galaxy," Yuna announced. Her voice carried to every corner of the temple. "Today, I have taken a mate. He is human. He is ordinary. He is everything I was taught to look down upon." The crowd grew quiet, and he is the bravest being I have ever known. She looked at Tay with eyes full of love. "The Valorans have ruled for 10,000 years. We have conquered worlds. We have built wonders. We thought we were the greatest species in the galaxy. But we had forgotten something important." She raised Tay's hand in hers. "Strength is not just about power. It is about the courage to love when you could lose everything. It is about the will to hope when all seems lost. It is about stepping forward when everyone else steps back." Her voice softened. "This human taught me that, and for that I am eternally grateful." Tay smiled at her. "You know, I was just looking for a date." This got way out of hand. The crowd burst into laughter. Even Yuna laughed, a sound that the Valorans had not heard from their princess in decades. That night, there was a celebration that lasted until dawn. Beings from across the galaxy danced and feasted and told stories. For one night, the differences between species did not matter. They were all just people, celebrating love. Tay and Yuna slipped away as the sun rose. They walked through the crystal gardens, hand in hand. "What happens now?" Tay asked. Why Yuna thought about it. "Now we live together. Whatever comes, we face it together." "That sounds nice." They stopped by a fountain made of liquid light. The water did not fall. It rose upward, toward the sky. "Tay," Yuna said, "I need to tell you something. Something I have never told anyone." "What is it?" She took a deep breath. "I have always been afraid. Every day of my life. Afraid of being weak. Afraid of being hurt. Afraid of being alone. I hid it behind armor and duty and cold eyes. But the fear was always there." She looked at him. "When you stepped forward at the assembly, when you walked into the void pits, when you took my hand at the altar, for the first time in my life, the fear went away." Tay reached up and touched her face. "You don't have to be afraid anymore. I know." She smiled. "Because now I have you." She leaned down and kissed him. It was their first kiss, gentle, tender, full of promise. The sun rose higher. A new day began. Across the galaxy, beings talked about what had happened. The story of the human who won a princess's heart became legend. Children heard it at bedtime. Scholars debated its meaning. Poets wrote songs about it. But for Tay and Yuna, it was simpler than that. It was not a legend or a debate or a song. It was just love. The kind of love that did not care about species or power or lifespans. The kind of love that saw a lonely person and said, "You deserve to be happy too." Years passed. Decades. Centuries. Tay grew stronger with the bond. His lifespan extended. His body became more resilient. He learned to fight, to lead, to rule beside his princess. But he never lost what made him special. His kindness. His humor. His simple way of seeing the world. And Yuna never forgot what he taught her. To love without fear. To hope without limits. To find joy in small moments. The galaxy changed around them. Empires rose and fell. Wars came and went. But through it all, they remained together. A human and a Valoran. An ordinary man and an extraordinary princess. Two souls, bonded for eternity. And they lived, against all odds, happily ever after. Tay collapsed the moment he stepped through the doorway. His legs finally gave out. His body had nothing left to give. He fell forward, expecting to hit the hard ground. But strong arms caught him. He looked up and saw golden eyes staring down at him. Princess Yuna was holding him. The most powerful being in the galaxy was on her knees in the dirt, cradling a broken human in her arms. "You survived," she whispered. Her voice shook. The princess who had faced armies without fear, whose voice had commanded empires, was trembling. Tay managed a weak smile. "I told you I would." The medical teams rushed forward, but Yuna did not let go. She carried Tay herself, walking through the crowd with the human in her arms. The cameras captured everything. 1 billion screens across the galaxy showed the same image. The proud Valon princess holding an ordinary, human like he was the most precious thing in the universe. The next few hours were a blur for Tay. Doctors surrounded him. Machines beeped and whirred. They scanned every part of his body, looking for damage. "His body is covered in minor wounds," the lead doctor reported. "Scratches, bruises, one cracked rib, but nothing life-threatening. His mind shows no signs of trauma, no lasting damage. By all medical standards, he is healthy." Yuna stood in the corner of the medical bay, watching. She had not left since bringing Tay in. "How?" she asked. "How did he do it?" The doctor shook his head. "I cannot explain it, Your Highness. Physically, humans are among the weakest species in the galaxy. Their bodies are fragile. Their lifespans are short. By every measure, this human should have died within the first hour, but he did not." "No, Your Highness, he did not." Yuna looked at Tay sleeping on the medical bed. His face was peaceful. Even after everything he had been through, he looked at peace. She remembered what he had said before entering the void pits, that his greatest fear was dying without meaning anything. This human had walked into certain death because he wanted his life to mean something. Was that why he survived? Because he had nothing to lose? Because he was already at peace with death? Or was it something else? Something the Valorans had forgotten in their 10,000 years of power? Tay woke up 12 hours later. The first thing he saw was the princess sitting beside his bed. She looked tired. Her silver hair was slightly messy. Her eyes had dark circles under them. "Did you stay here the whole time?" he asked. Yuna straightened. "I was monitoring your recovery. It is my responsibility as the one who issued the trial." Tay smiled. "You could have sent someone else. I could have." She did not explain further. Silence fell between them. It was not uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence shared by two people who did not need words to communicate. "What happens now?" Tay asked finally. Yuna stood up. She walked to the window and looked out at the stars. "You have passed the trial. By the ancient laws of my people, you have earned the right to become my mate. If you still wish it. If I still wish it?" Tay sat up slowly. "Why would I change my mind?" Yuna did not turn around. "You have seen what awaits you. The bond we share will connect us on every level. When I am hurt, you will feel my pain. When I go to war, you will experience every battle through my eyes. My lifespan will extend yours, but only as long as you can endure. Many bonded mates of Valorans have gone mad from the connection. They could not handle the weight of our lives." Tay listened carefully. He thought about her words, about what she was really saying beneath them. "You are afraid," he said quietly. Yuna's shoulders tensed. "I am not afraid of anything. You are afraid of hurting me. You are afraid that I will suffer because of you, that I will regret choosing you." The princess was silent for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was barely above a whisper. "For 70 years, I have watched beings walk away from me. They came seeking power and glory. When they saw the truth of what being my mate meant, they ran. I am tired of watching people run." Tay pushed himself off the bed. His body protested, but he ignored it. He walked slowly to where Yuna stood. "Look at me," he said. She turned. Her golden eyes were wet. The princess, who had never shown weakness to anyone, was standing before him with tears threatening to fall. "I am not here for power," Tay said. "I am not here for glory. I am here because when you asked if anyone was brave enough to marry you, I heard something else. I heard someone asking if anyone was willing to love them." Yuna's breath caught. "I am just a human," Tay continued. "I am weak. I will probably get hurt a lot. I will make mistakes. I might not always understand your world, but I will never run away from you. Not today. Not in 100 years. Not ever." He reached out and took her hand. Her skin was warm, warmer than human skin. She could crush his bones with a thought. She could kill him in 1,000 different ways. Instead, she held his hand gently, like he was made of glass. "You are strange," she said. "You are the strangest being I have ever met. Is that a bad thing?" A small smile appeared on her lips. "I do not know yet, but I want to find out." The bonding ceremony was announced for the following week. The galaxy went into a frenzy. Half of the known species thought this was the greatest love story ever told. The other half thought it was the beginning of humanity's rise to power. In truth, it was simpler than that. It was just two lonely souls finding each other across the vast emptiness of space. During the days before the ceremony, Tay and Yuna spent every moment together. She showed him her world. The crystal gardens of Valora. The ancient temples where her ancestors were buried. The training grounds where she had learned to fight as a child. He showed her his world, too, in a different way. He told her stories of his childhood, of his parents working under the twin suns, of his friends and their silly games, of the books he loved and the dreams he had. She listened to everything with complete attention. No one had ever shared such simple things with her before. No one had ever treated her like a person instead of a princess. One evening, they stood together on a balcony overlooking the capital city. A million lights sparkled below them like fallen stars. "Tay," Yuna said, "I need to tell you something." "What is it?" She turned to face him. Her golden eyes were serious. "I think I am beginning to understand why humans are so dangerous." Tay tilted his head. "Dangerous? We are one of the weakest species in the galaxy." "That is what I used to think." She touched her chest, where her heart was. "But you do something no other species can do. You make the impossible seem simple. You face death with a smile. You love without conditions." She took a step closer to him. "We Valorans have conquered 1,000 worlds. We have built an empire that has lasted 10,000 years. But we have forgotten how to do what you did in the void pits." "What did I do?" Yuna smiled. It was the most beautiful smile Tay had ever seen. "You chose hope over fear. Even when you had every reason to give up, you kept moving forward. That is not weakness, Tay. That is a strength we Valorans have never understood." She leaned down and rested her forehead against his. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for being brave enough to love me." Tay closed his eyes. "Thank you for being worth loving." And for the first time in 230 years, Princess Yuna of the Valoran Empire did not feel alone. The moment Tay stepped through the doorway, the world changed. The darkness was alive. It moved around him like water, pressing against his skin, trying to find a way inside. The air was cold, colder than anything he had ever felt. His breath came out in white clouds that the darkness swallowed instantly. He could not see anything. Not his hands in front of his face. Not the ground beneath his feet. Nothing. "Okay," he said to himself. "This is fine. This is manageable." He started walking. He had no direction, no plan. He just moved forward, one step at a time. The ground felt solid beneath his feet, but he could not tell what it was made of. The first hour passed in silence. Tay counted his steps to keep his mind busy. 1,000 steps. 2,000. 3,000. The darkness remained absolute. The cold remained constant. Nothing happened. Then he heard it. A voice. Soft at first, then growing louder. It was his mother's voice. Tay, where are you? Come home. Please come home. He stopped walking. His heart beat faster. His mother had died 3 years ago. Cancer had taken her slowly, painfully. He had held her hand at the end. You are not real, he said to the darkness. You are not my mother. The voice changed. It became angry. You left me. You left me to die alone. You were not there when I needed you. Tay closed his eyes. Tears formed at the corners. I was there. I held your hand. I told you I loved you. Lies, all lies. You never loved me. You were relieved when I died. One less burden. The words cut deep. They found the guilt he had buried inside. The guilt of feeling relief when her suffering ended. The guilt of moving on with his life. The guilt of not crying at her funeral. Stop, he whispered, but the voice did not stop. It grew louder. It multiplied. Now it was his father's voice too. His sister's voice. His friends' voices. Everyone he had ever loved, screaming at him in the darkness. Failure. Coward. Worthless. Nobody. Tay fell to his knees. He covered his ears, but the voices were inside his head now. They were part of the darkness, and the darkness was everywhere. This was how the void pits broke people. Not with monsters and claws. With guilt. With regret. With every dark thought you had ever pushed away. For a moment, Tay wanted to give up. He wanted to lie down and let the darkness take him. It would be so easy. So peaceful. Then he remembered something. A conversation he had with his mother, just days before she died. Tay, she had said, her voice weak but her eyes still bright. Do not waste your life being afraid. Fear is just a feeling. It cannot hurt you unless you let it. Promise me you will live. Really live. Not just exist. He had promised. Tay opened his eyes. The darkness was still there. The voices were still screaming. But something had changed. He had changed. You are not real, he said again. But this time, his voice was strong. You are my fears given form. You are the worst parts of my mind. But you are not the truth. He stood up slowly. His legs shook, but he stood. My mother loved me. I know this because she told me every day. My father was proud of me. I know this because he showed me in 1,000 small ways. My friends cared about me. I know this because they are still my friends. The voices wavered. They lost some of their power. I am not perfect, Tay continued. I have made mistakes. I have felt guilty. I have felt regret. But these feelings do not define me. They are part of me, but they are not all of me. He started walking again. The voices followed him, but they were quieter now. He did not ignore them. He listened to them, acknowledged them, and then let them go. The first day passed. Then the second. The void pits changed tactics. The voices faded, replaced by creatures. Things with too many legs and too many teeth. Things that crawled and slithered and hunted. Tay had no weapons. He had no training. He had only his wits and his will. The first creature attacked from the shadows. It was fast, faster than anything Tay had ever seen. He dove to the side, barely avoiding the attack. The creature's claws scraped against the ground where he had been standing. Tay ran. He was not ashamed of running. Running was smart. Running kept him alive. The creature chased him. Its breathing was loud in the silence. Its footsteps echoed through the darkness. Tay's mind raced. He could not outrun this thing forever. He needed a plan. He needed to think. Then he noticed something. The creature made noise. In this world of absolute darkness, sound was the only sense he could trust. He could hear where the creature was. He could predict where it was going. He stopped running and stood still. The creature was confused. It slowed down. Tay listened. He heard the creature's breathing. He heard its footsteps. He calculated its position. When it lunged, he stepped aside at the last possible moment. The creature crashed into something solid behind him. It let out a scream of pain. Tay did not wait. He ran in the opposite direction. This became his strategy. Listen, calculate, evade. He could not fight these creatures, but he could outsmart them. He used their own aggression against them. He led them into traps. He made them crash into each other. By the end of the second day, the creatures had learned to fear him. The watchers outside the void pits could not see what was happening inside. They could only monitor life signs. Tay's heart rate, his breathing, his brain activity. Princess Yuna had not left the monitoring station since the trial began. She watched the screens with unblinking eyes. Kang had tried to convince her to rest, but she refused. His life signs are stable, the technician reported. After 48 hours, his vitals are still within normal human parameters. Yuna leaned forward. That is impossible. By now, the void pit should have driven him to the edge. I am only reporting what I see, Your Highness. The human is alive. His mind is intact. If anything, his stress levels have decreased over the past few hours. Yuna sat back. She did not understand. How could an ordinary human, with no training and no special abilities, survive what had broken warriors? The third day came. Tay was exhausted. He had not slept since entering the void pits. His body ached. His mind was tired. But he was still moving, still thinking, still alive. The darkness around him began to change. It grew lighter, just slightly. He could see shapes now, shadows within shadows. The exit was close, but the void pits had one final test. A figure appeared before him. It was himself, an exact copy, standing in the darkness. You cannot leave, the copy said. You are not worthy. You are just a human. A weak, ordinary, meaningless human. Tay looked at his copy. He saw his own face, twisted with doubt and self-hatred. Maybe, Tay said, but that has never stopped me before. He walked forward, straight toward his copy. The copy raised its hands to stop him, but Tay did not slow down. He walked right through it, like walking through smoke. The copy screamed. It dissolved into nothing. And ahead, Tay saw it. A doorway, light pouring through. He took one step, then another. And on the morning of the third day, Tay walked out of the void pits, bruised and exhausted, but very much alive. The crowd that had gathered fell completely silent. Then the silence broke into chaos. A human had survived the void pits. The impossible had happened, and Princess Yuna, standing at the front of the crowd, felt something she had never felt in 230 years. She felt her heart soar. The news spread across the galaxy in hours. A human had accepted the princess's challenge. Social feeds exploded with opinions. News channels ran the story every hour. Gambling houses opened betting pools, and the odds against Tay were 1,000,000 to 1. Princess Yuna sat in her private chambers, watching the footage of Tay's declaration over and over again. She studied his face, his posture, his eyes. She was looking for the trick. There had to be a trick. No one in their right mind would willingly enter the void pits, especially not a human. Her personal guard, a massive Valoran warrior named Kang, stood by the door. Your Highness, Kang said, I have gathered information on the human. Yuna did not look away from the screen. Speak. His name is Tay. He is 26 years old. He comes from a small colony on the edge of human space. His parents were farmers. He has no military training, no special abilities, no genetic enhancements. He is, by all measures, completely ordinary. Yuna frowned. Then why did he volunteer? Tang hesitated. I do not know, Your Highness. Perhaps he is mentally unstable. Perhaps he seeks fame through death. Humans are known for their strange behaviors. Yuna finally turned away from the screen. Bring him to me. I want to speak with him before the trial. An hour later, Tay was escorted into the princess's chambers. He looked around the room with open curiosity, like a child visiting a museum for the first time. The walls were made of crystal that showed the stars outside. The furniture was carved from wood that only grew on the Valoran homeworld. Everything in this room was worth more than entire planets. Tay did not seem impressed or intimidated. He simply looked at everything with interest. You wanted to see me, princess? He asked. Yuna stood by the window, her back to him. She was trying to understand this human. He did not act like anyone she had ever met. Why are you doing this? She asked. Tell me the truth. Tay thought for a moment. You asked if anyone was brave enough to marry you. I thought that was a sad question. Sad? Yuna turned around. Her golden eyes flashed. I am the princess of the greatest empire in the galaxy. There is nothing sad about my life. You have been waiting 70 years for someone to accept you, Tay said quietly. That sounds lonely to me. Yuna's hands clenched into fists. You know nothing about me. That is true, Tay agreed. But I know what loneliness looks like. I have seen it in the mirror. The princess was silent. She had prepared arguments, threats, and warnings. She had not prepared for honesty. You will die in the void pits, she said finally. Your body cannot handle what is inside. Even if you survive the creatures, your mind will break. I have seen it happen to warriors who train their entire lives. Tay nodded. I understand the risk. No, you do not. Yuna walked closer to him. Up close, she could see the details of his face. He had small scars on his hands, the kind that came from hard work. His eyes were calm and clear. The void pits show you your deepest fears. They make those fears real. They force you to live through your worst nightmares again and again until you break or die. What are your deepest fears, princess? Tay asked, thought the question caught her off guard. No one had ever asked her that. No one had ever dared. That is not your concern, she said coldly. Maybe not, Tay said. But I will tell you mine, since you told me about the trial. He paused. My greatest fear is dying without meaning anything. Living a whole life and leaving nothing behind. Being forgotten the moment I am gone. Yuna stared at him. Humans live such short lives. 80 years, maybe 90 if they were lucky. To a Valoran, that was nothing. A blink of an eye. Yet here was this human, accepting a death sentence because he wanted his short life to mean something. You are a fool, she said. Probably, Tay agreed with a small smile. But I would rather be a fool who tried than a wise man who never did anything. Yuna turned away. She did not want him to see her face. She did not want him to see the confusion in her eyes. Leave, she said. Rest before the trial. You will need every bit of strength you have. Tay bowed his head. Thank you for seeing me, princess. I hope we can talk again after I return. If you return, she corrected. When I return, he said firmly. He walked to the door, then stopped. Princess, may I ask you something? Yuna did not turn around. What? What will you do if I survive? If I actually pass the trial? The question hung in the air. Yuna had never seriously considered this possibility. No one had ever asked because no one had ever believed it could happen. I will honor the ancient laws, she said slowly. I will accept you as my mate. We will be bonded for life. Even though I am human, even though I am ordinary. Yuna finally turned to face him. Her golden eyes met his dark ones. The trial does not care about species or status. If you survive, you will have proven yourself worthy. That is all that matters. Tay smiled again. That simple, honest smile that had no fear in it. Then I will see you in 3 days, princess. He left the chamber. Yuna stood alone, her heart beating in a rhythm she did not recognize. That night, she could not sleep. She kept thinking about the human, about his calm eyes, about his strange words, about the way he spoke to her like she was just a person, not a monster to be feared. She walked to her window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, on a small colony at the edge of human space, there had been farmers who raised a son. That son had grown up ordinary. No special powers, no great destiny, just a simple life. And yet that ordinary boy had walked into the greatest hall in the galaxy and done what emperors and warriors could not do. He had looked at her without fear. The dawn came quickly. The void pits were located on a dead moon at the edge of Valoran space. Thousands of ships gathered to watch the trial. This was the most watched event in galactic history. Tay stood at the entrance to the void pits. It was a simple doorway carved into black stone. Beyond it was darkness so complete that light could not escape. Princess Yuna stood nearby, watching him. Her face showed no emotion, but her hands were clasped tightly behind her back. "Last chance," she said. "You can walk away. No one will think less of you." Tay looked at her. "Would you think less of me?" Yuna did not answer. Tay turned back to the doorway. He took a deep breath. "See you in 3 days, princess." Then he walked into the darkness, and the doorway sealed shut behind him. The galaxy held its breath, and Princess Yuna, for the first time in her life, found herself hoping. The Great Hall of the Galactic Assembly was the largest structure ever built. It could hold 1 million beings from across the known universe. Today, every seat was filled. Representatives from 1,000 different species sat in silence. All eyes looked down at the center stage. Princess Yuna stood alone under the bright lights. Her skin was a deep shade of violet, smooth like polished stone. Her eyes were gold, bright and sharp like twin suns. She was tall, taller than most species in the galaxy. Her silver hair flowed down her back like a waterfall of starlight. She wore armor made of black metal that absorbed the light around it. She was beautiful. She was terrifying. She was the heir to the Valoran Empire. The Valorans were the most powerful species in the galaxy. They had ruled for 10,000 years. Their warriors could crush steel with their bare hands. Their minds could calculate 1,000 possibilities in a single second. They lived for 800 years, and in that time, they became stronger, faster, and smarter with each passing century. But there was a reason the princess stood alone today. Yuna looked at the crowd. She saw fear in their eyes. She had seen that look her entire life. No one wanted to get close to her. No one wanted to know her. They only wanted to survive her. She took a deep breath and spoke. Her voice echoed through the hall like thunder. "I am Princess Yuna of the Valoran Empire. I am 230 years old. By the laws of my people, I must choose a mate before my 300th year. Today, I make this announcement to the entire galaxy." The crowd remained silent. Some beings shifted in their seats. Others looked away. Yuna continued. "The one who becomes my mate will share everything with me. My power, my wealth, my empire, but also my pain, my battles, my scars. When I am hurt, they will feel it. When I go to war, they will fight beside me. Our lives will be connected until death." She paused. The silence grew heavier. "This is the ancient bond of my people. It cannot be broken. It cannot be undone. If your body is weak, you will die from my wounds. If your mind is fragile, you will break from my memories. If your spirit is small, you will be crushed by my burdens. A Torvian delegate in the front row made a small sound. His forearms were shaking. The Torvians were known for their bravery in battle. Even they feared what the princess was offering. Yuna's golden eyes swept across the crowd. I have waited 70 years for someone to step forward. Princes from great empires have come. Warriors with 100 victories have come. Scholars with minds sharper than blades have come. All of them looked at me. All of them saw what I am. And all of them walked away. Her voice did not shake. Her face showed no emotion. But deep inside, somewhere she never let anyone see, there was a wound that would not heal. So today, I make a final offer. Any being who wishes to become my mate must first survive the void pits for 3 days. This is the ancient trial of my ancestors. The void pits are a dimension of darkness. Inside, you will face your deepest fears. You will fight creatures that have broken the strongest warriors. You will be alone with nothing but your will to live. The crowd began to whisper. The void pits were legendary. Only 7 beings had ever survived them in all of recorded history. 4 of them had gone mad afterward. Yuna raised her hand. The whispers stopped. If you survive, you will have proven yourself worthy. You will become my equal, my partner, my other half. Her voice softened for just a moment. You will be the first person in my life who was not afraid of me. She stood straight and looked at the crowd one final time. So, I ask now, before the entire galaxy, is there anyone courageous enough to marry me? The silence was absolute. No one moved. No one breathed. A full minute passed. Then another. The delegates looked at each other, but no one stood up. No one even raised their hand. Yuna felt the familiar coldness spread through her chest. She had expected this. She had always expected this. But expecting pain did not make it hurt less. She was about to turn away when she heard footsteps. They were soft at first. Then louder. Someone was walking down the central aisle toward the stage. The crowd turned to look. Gasps filled the hall. A human was walking forward. Yuna froze. The human was young, perhaps 25 years old by their short-lived standards. He had black hair and dark eyes. He was not tall. He was not strong. He looked ordinary in every way. He wore simple clothes, not armor. He had no weapons, no medals, no signs of status. He walked calmly, as if he was taking a morning stroll. He did not seem to notice the millions of eyes watching him. He did not seem to care about the whispers that followed his steps. Is that a human? What is he doing? Does he want to die? Humans only live for 80 years. This is madness. The human reached the stage. He looked up at Princess Yuna. She was almost 2 heads taller than him. Her golden eyes stared down at him with a mixture of shock and confusion. You? She said. Her voice was barely a whisper. A human? The human smiled. It was a simple, honest smile. The kind of smile that had no fear hiding behind it. My name is Tay, he said, and I would like to try the trial. The entire hall erupted into chaos. Delegates shouted. Some laughed. Others screamed that this was an insult to the princess. Guards moved forward, ready to remove this foolish human from the stage. But Princess Yuna raised her hand. Everyone stopped. She looked at Tay for a long moment. She searched his eyes for the fear she always found in others. She looked for the hesitation, the doubt, the regret that always came when beings realized what they were facing. She found nothing. Only calm, only certainty. Do you understand what you are asking? She said. Humans are fragile. You live short lives. Your bodies break easily. The void pits have killed beings 1,000 times stronger than you. Tay nodded. I understand. You will die. Maybe, he said. But maybe not. Yuna stared at him. In 230 years, no one had ever spoken to her like this. No one had ever stood before her without fear. She did not know what to do with this feeling in her chest. It was strange. It was warm. It was something she had never felt before. "Very well," she said finally. "The trial begins at dawn." Tay bowed his head slightly. "Thank you, Princess." As he turned to walk away, Yuna called out to him. "Human, Tay, why? Why would you do this?" Tay stopped. He looked back at her over his shoulder. "Because," he said, "you looked lonely." Then he walked away, leaving the princess standing alone under the lights, her golden eyes wide, her ancient heart beating faster than it had in centuries.